This right here is once again another serious video, because ever since I've posted that other video of Onett speaking and those 3 messages that he said, well, there has been like 40 other new messages, and this time he spoke about loads of things, such as a really concerning message that apparently hasn't worked at all or thought about anything to do with Beesmas this year because he's focused on other games right now, and also a message about 2 old scrapped Mythic bees, which is interesting. Same with what he's currently feeling with the game and everything, just like the previous video but a bit more detailed now. Just overall loads of communication. So let me just read you guys everything and talk about it, because a lot of people may think, oh my god, will Beesmas not be coming out? And also, yeah, as well, by the way, there will be quality of life changes. Onett did actually ask us and say like, yo, what changes do you guys want to see to Beesmas? And I do have a few I will list in this video in case Onett does see this. So yeah, it is quite a good time for the Beesmas community right now, because low-key it's been like this where we've had less updates for quite a while now, so not like much is probably gonna change. But anyway, this is quite an important one already, because first thing Onett says is, yes, when it matters, I'm trying to communicate now. I'll always be defensive for the reason I've gone about, but my goal isn't to use silence to hold it over anyone or to frustrate them. I just simply don't have answers most of the time. The remaining goal of Beesmas is to tie up loose ends at this point, like the BBM quest that still hasn't been released and pressing quality of life features. Other than that, I don't have much to say regarding the future of Beesmas. And over here, let me just skip to it real fast. He does say, this is fair and it should be easier to manage. Which quality of life features do you guys want to see? And me personally, I definitely want to see things to do with maybe rolling SSA a little faster, to just be like, oh yeah, spend this amount of honey to get a 5 out of 5 and whatever stats that are needed, so it's easier. Or to get royal jelly to get a specific bee and spend that amount of royal jelly to get that bee, or 4 mutations as well. That would be probably the best thing ever, because so many people have been complaining about that, and if he does actually add that, that would be insane. A lot of people were saying things to do with stingers, but Onett responded to that and said quality of life is things like user interface. Stingers are an issue that will require more consideration. That would be something I would want to address in a real update or a new system, and a lot of people have been tweaking out because of this one message Onett said as well. Also, he does actually talk about a new game as well. So many things that Onett has said. And Onett also here said, I will take a look at these quality of life features. Again, please understand that I am working on other projects as well, and I'm trying to make more, and I'm not trying to make more promises I won't keep. Yeah, there we go, because somebody over here said to just look at the BSS 1-of-1 features, the quality of life features that were there, because they were so good. And yeah, you will actually take those into consideration and most likely add some. I'm sure the royal jelly one or the SSA one or other stuff too as well. But a lot of people were tweaking about this message right here, saying for Beesmas, no, because somebody said, Onett, be completely honest, have you been working on, have an idea for the next update? And Onett said for Beesmas, no, this is the first year where I have not been mulling over a content update and plans from last year. I've also set down and don't plan to return soon. Now, I don't know if that fully means that we won't get a Beesmas, because every single year, although to be fair, Onett did say that he didn't really know, or I mean, he doesn't really have anything coming, but I'm sure that he knows everybody wants a Beesmas, and it happens literally every single year. It's obviously not guaranteed, but even last Beesmas, Onett was saying through the Bear messages that, oh yeah, I'm just gonna return next Beesmas. So if something, we probably will have a Beesmas, but it will just be a recycled Beesmas, because it's just a tradition at this point. Although Onett was ignoring the question, will Beesmas come out? So I have no idea if it really will or not. I guess we'll just have to see. In my opinion, we probably will, because Onett was talking about future updates as well. Onett was talking about the quality of life updates and everything. So yeah, to be fair, I am sure we will get a Beesmas, in my opinion at least. Onett did also, before I talk about the Mythic bees, he did actually mention over here, I've returned to working on a voxel map RTS game engine. So yeah, he does confirm he has been working on new games ever since last year as well. I was working on prior to the release of BSS off Roblox, so it's not a Roblox game, as well as a card game as well in 2015 that he has began. I'm uncertain if or when these will ever release, but I'm finding it fulfilling and hope to create something that will be fundamentally different from BSS while using lessons mistake I've made from BSS to inform them. Yes, which is pretty nice. Not gonna lie, I am quite excited. He does actually say that he has been using AI to code and make that game. Whenever I find that, I'll read the message. message. Now let's quickly talk about the Mythic bees and the macro situation, because so many people have been going crazy, oh my god, about macros. But anyways, you are seeing around 2021, I had a big cardboard sheet with a bunch of sticky notes. I rearranged a bunch over a week to try and mock up a, wait, that's something different, a skill tree system like this in Beesmas. But I ended up thinking it was straightforward of an upgrade slash method that was overdone. W reading skills, but there was supposed to be a skill tree to come out in Beesmas at one point, but it never came out because it was just a overdone method, I guess. Yes. Oh yeah, here we go with the new bee stuff. Yes, I had. In the original notes for Buoyant and Precise, there were other bees, including one involving changing flower colors, which is actually insane. So you're telling me Spiderfield could be red with that new mythic bee if we had 50 of them? And also, by the way, it usually does tend to return bees or stuff he used to work on the past. Again, just like RoboBear got returned. So low-key, those two new bees could come out at one point. Not trying to say none, but just saying. He does also say there was also another one had an ability requiring you to stack these token-like structures and build these buff-forming totems, which is crazy. I'm not gonna lie, that sounds so fire, and I hopefully wish to see those at one point in Beesmas. Now let's talk about the macro situation, because a lot of people have been going crazy. Oh my god, Beesmas macro this and that and this. And Onett does say, throughout the course of BSS, I didn't consciously set out to make macro the most viable way to play. When I would balance things early on, I found that most players accomplished everything faster than I expected. I began using a long shot goals, things that would take as long as possible so that there were always at least something to achieve. But when it ended up happening, and what should have been predictable in hindsight, is disincentivizing the creation of ever better macros to play the game for you. I knew that fighting against macroing would be time consuming endeavor, and I didn't immediately see it as detrimental, that it was worth the effort. At the same time, the early method of exposure on Roblox was concurrent play count, so there wasn't an incentive to limit it and reduce the player count, but I never wanted the game to reduce to just AFK. If I did, we wouldn't need such complicated macros to be assessed. I would have streamlined things to be more manageable with just an auto clicker. Rather, I wanted a blend. I tried to make active boosting a viable alternative, I can't read, to introduce abilities that required more engagement on the field or pointed out instance things that could be done in short spurts, RBC, trading, puffs, blooms, etc. But over time, I found that the systems designed specifically to be time consuming would find some method of being done by macro, or there would be something like stingers that ends up being bottleneck, which is the best gotten through macros. In the end, I don't believe how things are right now is optimal. I would want even more advantage given to intense, pointed, shorter time periods of play. If I do update the game again, I will likely continue with my philosophy of trying to make new features more beneficial to active play. But again, I believe macros will always find a way to exploit the new systems, especially with more advanced AI macros have been happening over time recently, as you know, with the red AI and everything. But yeah, Onett does say whenever the next massive major update will come out, it will for sure combat that and just reward more active play rather than macros. So yeah, for anybody that has been going crazy over it, then there you go. Quite a solution, although Onett can't really stop the current macro though. That is the thing. And that was a question about Onett asking, or somebody asking Onett if he even supports macro. And somebody does also say, I appreciate this. Know that I'm trying to make the right decisions for the game. It's a difficult process to maneuver as an individual, but working alone is a principle I believe is important. That makes me hesitant and reflective, especially now that the game is established. It's 8 years old, and over time I tried to express my respect for players by designing systems I didn't feel would exploit them, but to create compelling and unique systems and experience that can become depending and rewarding. I'm imperfect and a human, and while a few years feel like a strong or feel like a long time to the player community, to me engaged in multiple projects at once, it's not much time at all. This type of communication I can do and I can appreciate it. So yeah, as you are seeing, Onett is basically just saying loads of things and communicating. So now let me read everything else too. I think for devs it's an amazing thing, especially to get into coding. I began to really learn coding by the reading of code book and drop game engine I was working in and tinkering with. I don't find AI so different, it will handle and hold you, but clearly at the moment we're in a mad gold rush for people to just use AI, produce quantity over quality. Well, yeah, same thing, quantity over quantity, and hope something sticks, or to produce ever more perfect, skinnier box machine with machine learning. And I find that deeply inhumane, not an artistic. realistic approach. And Onett does say, I love AI in the domain of science and coding, and like others, I'm worried about it in the domain of art. It will force us to finally distinguish more clearly the boundary between those. For science, engineering, I love it, and I've been using AI for many things in my projects. I try to align my identity with that, what is possible through technology, and not to fear keeping up with it. But I know this is tricky. Onett does say as well that he does have loads of unreleased music as well. I have a lot of songs, maybe 40, from the era 2013, 2016, which I listen to sometimes, and it's uncanny since they are like BSS songs from a parallel universe, lol. But I do plan to use these for future projects, so we might even get one of these in Beesmas, who knows, at one point. Onett does decide to update the game. Then somebody asks Onett that question, and he says, I found most games and the metric orientated optimization focus of modern Roblox, and they're presumed in yes and personalized recommendation method, or whatever that is. I feel like not enough media is being made about that, or to just justify it from the first principles. It will get worse as now we're in. Yo, I'm not gonna lie, bro, I do not understand any of these words, but facts, bro, I agree. Oh yeah, Onett was actually talking about an artist over here. If you are seeing, I'm not gonna read it fully out loud and stuff, but I'm gonna show it on the screen right now, because he was just talking about an artist and then his songs and everything, which is pretty nice, but it's quite a lot of words. Then we do have, I'm very insecure about staying too close to my inspiration. At the time, it was Snow Shoveling Simulator. I felt guilty about how similarly the core loop was inspired by that game. So I tried with most updates to do something that felt arbitrarily or truly go with my own decision. To use words that are weird, mechanics that aren't so obvious, so that I have proof for myself that they came from me. Insofar as that's actually possible, obviously all games are inspired by others. As far as why Goo and Jelly Beans specifically were added to Beesmas, I tried to stick to childlike sweets and toys aesthetic, make items stuff you might have nostalgic memories of, and for every element like that. I'm not satisfied if it is super straightforward. Like I wanted every system to have some hidden nuisance, I have no idea what that word is, that could lead to interesting or emergent gameplay I wouldn't specifically plan for. Stuff like the mechanic of trying to collect goo to get higher multipliers. This didn't really pan out well like I had planned out to. Or unexpected things like the spoiled jelly beans, bean bugs, so that the effect is more woven into the world and not just a standalone item. And it does also say here, because somebody was going crazy at him, and he does say, I made my millions, so I'm free to behave how others would call reckless. Selfish, yet ideologically, and emboldened to act when that person said, because Onett used a Greek god in the announcement earlier, like I said in the post. This was my mission from the start, and things won't change. There are many examples of games where you can watch the results of your sentiment of selling to private equity, large studios, etc. Maybe that produces the slop with your mindset that deserves, which is kind of funny. The trade locked cubs, because somebody was asking about the trade locked cubs and everything, because people were trading a lot of their stuff for B-quips that were hacked, and well, and it does say the trade locked cubs, if they were created with the code mining exploit, won't be tradable in the future. So he does confirm you won't be able to trade them. I realize this is frustrating, but we shut down trading relatively fast, about 3 days after the exploit began. Thank you to the moderator that reported to him, and trade to minimize damage the economy. It's a tricky situation, and I'm frustrated because this wasn't a vulnerability of BSS trade specifically, but something larger. And it does also say, despite all of this and however unpopular I might become, if I had honestly had to bet, I still think BSS will outlive most of the front page games, even with the way bigger ones and without updates. Literally what I was saying in my short, even if Beesmas doesn't update for 20 years, it will still be alive. People love Beesmas as long as it's all viable and you can actually play it. No bugs or anything, things are working, then yeah, Beesmas will always be alive. Literally what I said in my short 2 weeks ago. And it does also say that yeah, if Onett does become burned out of Beesmas and just doesn't want to update anymore, he did say yes, I want BSS to be stable and playable, and I'll continue to do that maintenance. So that's obviously amazing, not gonna lie. And it did also talk about quite a bit that, oh yeah, if he does see other people re-upload the BSS 1-of-1 thing, he will obviously take them down as well. And he did say too, how do you feel about genuine found games currently not a cash grab and copy and paste games? He does say, I'm not bothered by them. I appreciate the ones that make an honest effort to be their own thing, and I'm not trying to send a message to those sorts of games since I don't consider them the same as BSS 1 at all. As long as they're making their own assets assets, own characters, etc., and not just cloning BSS and then sticking things onto it. And that's the natural game genre evolution. And Onett does say, I feel like most people are on the same page though, and it's a minority arguing for those sorts of things. I still felt the need to say something. Obviously, Onett was talking about his own game and everything, and not gonna lie, I don't think there's really many other things that Onett has said apart from that he has been using Cloud, so the AI thing, to work on his own personal engine and game project. This is a tool that acts as a compromise thing in this situation. I believe some of these quality of life features would be easier to implement now that Onett has that AI tool, and I should be able to make them without having to switch focus. I'm not trying to make a promise here, but I think many of these would be easy to do now. So yeah, Onett is not 100% promising that these quality of life features will be coming out, but like, look, it is definitely looking good, not gonna lie. Onett does also kind of talk about here as well that he has reflected on projects like Beekeepers, haven't submitted takedowns, but yeah, basically literally the same thing as he was saying in most messages. So these people literally ripped his game, but he obviously doesn't have a problem with people that are actually just taking the idea, well, not kind of the idea, but you know what I mean. With Beast Swarm, like the same concept, the same everything, you're literally just stealing on its game as the other people with BSS 1 of 1 were, and the people with Beekeepers were. So yeah, but not gonna lie, Onett hasn't really said anything else other than that. Onett did say he's not depressed and anything else and anything else. So, I mean, to be fair, he does talk about hackers though, saying that the logic is bizarre. You think I want scripters in the game because they make money, yet they don't make the most money, and they hurt the overall integrity of the game. They are there because making an anti-cheat is difficult. And over the years, I have implemented many anti-cheats and attempted ban waves. I'd argue rather strict ones without an appeal process. It's again an issue of difficulty. So yeah, that was really the only things Onett has kind of said. Other than that, everything else is basically the same of what the first messages I was even talking about are. So yeah, don't think I've really missed anything out. I've kind of literally covered everything. Yeah, even the macro stuff and everything else. Not gonna lie, this is some amazing communication over here from Onett. I have actually really enjoyed reading all of these things, and I'm pretty excited for the future either way. I know a lot of people are like, oh my god, is Beesmas not happening? Are we not about to get an update? Look, bro, I'm gonna literally just be honest. We're probably still gonna get an update for Beesmas. It's probably just gonna be recycled because we all know Onett does a Beesmas every single year, and Onett cannot miss a Beesmas, and he knows that as well, that he wants to deliver in everything. It's probably just gonna be recycled, and it's still okay, just like last Beesmas was. And to be fair, as I literally said earlier, probably not many things are really going to change. Onett will just come back and do a large content update whenever he feels like it, I guess. If that's either in a year or 2 years, not like many things will either change. We have other games that we can play if something while we're waiting for Onett to even update. Plus, Onett is working on his new games as well, which is really exciting. But hey, look, at least this doesn't mean Beast Swarm will ever get discontinued unless Onett actually tells us it will. We will still get content, we'll still get quality of life features, we'll still get all these things, and not gonna lie, the future is still looking bright realistically. I know a lot of people might call me delusional for saying that, but look, bro, people are tweaking out for no reason. Beast Swarm has literally been like this for years now, if you really think about it. Although Onett did say this is the first year he isn't really fully focused on that update, but look, last year we only got blooms, so to be fair, not many things are really gonna change, which is a good thing as well. We just gotta wait, that's all it is. Let me know what you guys think about it though. I'm actually quite optimistic with all the things he has said. Quite excited as well to see what the next major update will be. Really excited to see his new games as well, and I'm just overall quite excited. It's really nice that he finally spoke and let us know what he's thinking about Beast Swarm and overall what he's even working on right now. Pretty nice.